Hey everybody, welcome back to Chris's Trains and Things. It has been almost a year and it is time for layout update number 12. So we did update 11, February 3rd, 2023 is when that was published. It is currently the 25th of January as I'm filming this now. You probably won't see it for at least a week, if not two. So a year since our last layout update, and I am way behind on providing some updates on what's going on here on the layout. Now we've done lots of videos in the last year. And so in those videos, we've seen a lot of the new things that have happened, but I think it's time to kind of just do a full layout update on all the things that we've done over the last year. We'll hit some of the new products that we've had and added to the collection. You've seen them because of all the videos we've done, but we'll highlight a couple of the ones that stand out, maybe one or two that haven't gotten featured in any videos to this point. So it's been a really busy year and we've done a lot of work on the layout, and we're doing a lot of work because we're trying to get it to the point of being quote unquote finished before June, because in June of 2024 here is the TCA convention, which is being held in Lancaster, PA, which is where I live. And our layout is one of the official tour stops for the convention, which is a huge honor to have been recognized for the efforts of the layout and the collection, that the TCA has asked to bring charter buses to my house full of people to look at this layout. So I'm really hustling here to try to get this done to a point where it is presentable for all of those guests that are making the trip to the TCA convention. You can find more information about the TCA convention at the TCA's website, which I will link in the description of this video. Now, there's lots of other things happening here. The show in Amherst is actually this weekend. By the time you see this, it'll probably be last weekend or the weekend before. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to make it to that show, but then we have York coming up here in April. We're hoping that there's going to be a YouTube meet and greet. I did tell the TCA months ago that I was not going to be able to help plan this one in April. I am currently working on writing my dissertation for my doctoral program, and that takes up a significant amount of any extra time that I might have in my life, let alone trying to do my full-time job as well as be with my family. So I'm taking this York off. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. I've given them some contacts for some of the other members of the YouTube community that I think would be great opportunities or great folks to represent what we do in this world of YouTubing the hobby. So just to wait and see if they do make those connections so that that can take place. I promise though, I will be back in the fall with helping out with that event. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about what has changed here on the layout. I think we'll start down at the engine facilities. Let's head down. All right, so over here at the diesel platform, I actually had filmed this and then just yesterday did some more work and figured we're gonna erase that old footage and make some new ones because we haven't published this video yet. So we've worked on the side shop here for the diesel shed. Now, this is just, I haven't even glued these pieces on. This still needs to get trimmed up. It needs to be weathered to match the brick of the building. But I think it looks really nice here on the side, kind of just extends this scene. So what I've done is added a longer platform. This came with a piece of MDF about this size, which just covers the footprint of the side shop. But I was going to extend the concrete anyway, and so for kind of continuity's sake, I went to Home Depot, got a 2x4 sheet of MDF, 1/2 inch, and then cut it so it kind of molds around the old diesel shed, goes underneath the new side shop, and then extends in the front and the back. And then I added an extra piece here as well that extends forward. So we're going to put a little, probably a gap piece here. I did take some Plastruct. I found a Plastruct sheet from local hobby shop that's diamond plate. So I kind of placed that and traced it and then cut those pieces. And then I painted it as well to make it look like it's kind of a steel platform here to cover the gap between the concrete and the rails. I think it looks really good. This one just needs to kind of come up a little bit. I do need to get this piece pushed back down, add another screw here on this side to get this a little bit more level. I do have screws underneath my sewer caps there, so then they're just put in place over top of those screws. So I'll just add another one over on this side here. But I think it looks really nice. Got to just weather a little bit more to get it all to match and flow, and then we'll add some more features and figures and detail parts here on this side, maybe some cars and things like that, and kind of pretend like the roadway kind of just extends off to the side. I am thinking of taking this fascia and bringing it up so it is level with this, and then we'll get this painted black. We also will have the sanding towers here from Atlas when they come in. So looking forward to those once they arrive. But if we pan over here to the back side, you'll see, I just have this sitting here for now, but you can see how that just kind of extends over to the back as well. We'll add some LED lighting to the shop, and then I've got some detail parts for tools and whatnot that will go in there. So really happy with how that has come along, and then we will continue on the back side later on. Turning around from the engine facility, I actually added something that's not a layout, but it is some more shelving. So I took some 3/4 inch plywood and then cut it and added some grooves to the top and created these shelves here. And they are very sturdy. I have them over there where the cardinal set is as well, and they hold pretty well. So even though there's a little bit of a change there, it's actually all good. So I have up here my 2 Atlas P42s. Each one I purchased from Train World. The Operation Lifesaver version I got at York from Train World. We've got the 21-inch Union Pacific passenger cars from Lionel. Those are new to the collection. I traded a steam engine for those at York, and I'm really happy to have those here. I actually haven't run them yet. I have one more car that goes on that. It's the theater car from the most recent 2-pack. So that goes on the end. I had originally had these planned to go all the way to the end. Long story, make it short. I built these to go all the way to the end, had them sitting in the garage drying because I painted them obviously to match the paint here in the basement. And my wife did not see them because they were kind of primed gray, which matches my garage floor. And she drove in and broke the end off of one of the shelves. So we're about 6 inches too short. So I cannot fit one more 21-inch passenger car there, unfortunately. So we'll fill that gap eventually. On the first shelf there, we have the Conrail OCS set. I picked that up from trains.com. It's Trains with a Z. And I also added the full dome car, which is a Station Sounds, I think, also. So there's another 2-pack that I'm looking for this set. There's actually an AA E-unit set that goes with it also, but I'm really looking for that extra 2-pack. If anybody has one they want to part with, let me know. But we will feature this on a video at some point this year. As we pan around, we're going to see another new product on the layout, and this is the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western heavyweights. These finally arrived from Lionel after about 2 years, because I think it took some time for them to get the color right, and the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western is telling them they have to get the colors correct so they all match, and they certainly do. So we have the Observation heavyweight here, and then we also have Pinehurst, this heavyweight parlor car here, and then we've got the Diner 2-pack arrived as well. So that was in a later catalog with the E units that were from the Aberdeen, Carolina, Western that I did not buy. So we've got these units here. And then if we come up a little bit more, you'll see the full dome car as well that was in the catalog with the E unit. So that has arrived. So now we have our full F9 Carolina, Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western train all put together with all the cars that have been put out so far by Lionel. Now, the Aberdeen, Carolina, and Western is continuing to purchase and refurbish more freight cars as time goes on, so perhaps we'll be able to add to our fleet. But I'm really happy with the collection I have from this train now. You can see it goes all the way from one end of my siding all the way down to the other end. So it's a perfect length for me right now. Zooming in here, you'll see another set of engines that has not been featured on the channel yet. These are the E9s from Union Pacific. These are the Lionel Legacy. These were custom run by Mr. Muffin's Trains a few years ago, and I was able to pick these up from my buddy Matt from West Chicago Model Railroad, or the Miniature Models podcast. He and I traded for an engine that I had that he was looking for, and these were on my wish list, so I'm very happy to have these on my layout and in my collection. These are going to look really nice with those Union Pacific 21-inch cars. I just haven't had time to pull these out and pull them with those passenger cars just yet. You've probably seen them sitting there in many of our videos, though. All right, if we come over here to the center of the layout, we've added a few more trees here to this pop-up section, but one thing that we did add, building-wise, was this Repairs in Shady Grove gasoline station. This is a Bar Mills kit. Bar Mills is a company that makes laser cut kits, and this is one of the kits from them that I picked up and built over the last year. This is a really small gas station, and it fits perfectly off of this roadway. Now I've got a few more detail parts to add to the side with some tire racks and whatnot, but it's a really cool little gas station. as we pan over, you'll see the Trackside Tavern and Lenox Glass buildings. These are Downtown Deco buildings. Downtown Deco is a company that makes these Hydrocal building kits. And Hydrocal building kits are fragile because they're made of plaster. They come white and unpainted. You have to glue them up and assemble them and then paint them as well. So they take a little bit of time, but fear not, I did not consider myself a good model painter or builder. And I was able to do these. This is not the first Downtown Deco buildings I have. The Patterson's Hardware over here is a Downtown Deco building that I've had. And then if we slowly pan back the other way, you'll see the First Timers bar way down there at the end that was featured in the last layout update. That's another one of the Downtown Deco buildings. Now, around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they offered a buy one, get one free sale on their website. So all you have to do is go on their website, buy something, and then email them and say that you bought something with your item number, and then tell them what other item you wanted that was of equal or lesser value. So I picked up both these buildings for the price of one. Now the Lenox Glass building is really neat. It's kind of hard to see on the side, but it's got the remnants of an old building there. In fact, there's rebar sticking out of those columns and beams as though the old building was torn down. The building was suffered a fire, and you'll see the glass is all busted out there in the front windows. I do need to weather and maybe burn up the awning a little bit. It's a little too shiny and nice for my liking. That's the one thing I don't like about that building, or at least the way that I assembled it. So we're gonna do some work on that in time. But you'll see I haven't finalized the placement of these buildings. I did buy them because they're gonna fit nicely here. I just have to add a full base, and then we can do the sidewalks and complete those scenes. And then I think I've got this top little town area complete. When I've got those done, that is gonna be it. We're not gonna try to cram anything else into that space. Panning down this way, we have completed the last two. I'm not sure if we had two done last time, but we have all three of the TW Trainworks company houses done now. So this was the first one that I did. We've added some details with a dog and some rocking chairs there. I've also added a 3D printed propane tank to the first two buildings. If we come up here to the second building, we've got a dog on the front porch. We need some more details on that, but we've got a dog there. We've got a little mailbox there in the front as well, some trash cans. If we pan over here by the basketball court, we've got the last house. We added a rocking chair and a gas grill. So we need some more ground cover details in a car, I think, at that one as well. Panning back over here, I've also added the Dwarven light system. So you see that street light there. And this one over here, the Dwarven light system is a product by Trains.com, Trains with a Z. They use fiber optics, so it's really, really easy to do. And I have a video on the Dwarven light system that you can find on my channel if you're interested in checking those out. All right, back here at the main curve of the layout, if we pan back over, you'll see the back of those houses. Then it slopes down to the Haphazard Packing Company. This is another laser cut kit. I picked this up from Brennan's Model Railroading. Dennis Brennan owns Brennan's Model Railroading. It's where I get my ballast from. And he has some small building kits. So this is one that I picked up from him. I've got a few more details that I would like to add to it, but it is a very nice building. It does a really nice job sitting where it does, where this kind of reversing loop siding track comes around. And there's a loading dock on the far side that we'll look at in a minute. And so we're gonna add some more details to that, but you can't really see it anyway, but we'll add just a few details over there. So in case we have a camera on a train, you'll be able to see some of those fun details. So coming over here, you can see that loading dock. It's kind of in the shade, so kind of hard to see, but we've got a little hoist crane there as well, and some crates and whatnot kind of scattered about. So a really cool building. Happy to have that added. We just need a few more detail parts, I think, in and around that building as time goes on. So one of the things about detail parts is you can continue to add them for the lifetime of your layout. Last time we did our layout update, we looked at some products that I had recently purchased from Narrow Gauge Model Railroading. One of them was this Blair House kit. This is another company house that I've kind of created into a cabin, and I've built this property up. If we move around here, we've got someone sitting on the front porch there reading the newspaper. It's a nice little cabin sitting here in the woods. And if we pan up, you'll see a little dirt pathway. We're gonna add a truck onto that in time, and a few more trees, so it's kind of a little bit more wooded and secluded off from this main town here. panning up to the hillside, I've added some more trees. I've started to try to make my own pine trees. Now, I've been using super trees for a long time, but you know, you make 50 super trees and it doesn't look like they made a dent on your layout. So I'm starting to make my own pine trees with a method that I found on YouTube. I will do a video on the process that I use to make these trees, and I will certainly be referencing the person who I was inspired by and whose technique I'm using. Panning over the town down below, we haven't done much. We did add some more of the Vision Line stock cars. We got the Pennsylvania ones there. I added a few more cars. I had to buy another Jurassic Park car. That's the Land Cruiser. And then we've got the Ghostbusters car as well. Sold those at the local hobby shop. Had to pick them up. All right, another scene that I finished after I filmed the initial clips for this layout update. And I figured let's go ahead and cover these now. So up on the top level, the Vetter Sash and Door Company that we talked about, or we'll talk about, I have a siding up there. I'd always had a switch there with the intention of putting siding in, and I finally put that siding in up there. And I've got my weathered Chessie hopper. That is from a local guy, Matt Weaver, and I'll have his information in the video description below. Now, one of the things I did have to do back there because I was short on real estate, sorry about the shadow, is I actually had to trim the rails on the far side of that siding track so they fit nice and flush against that Menards building there. You can't see them, so it doesn't really matter from here, but I did trim them just so you can get a little bit closer, and then I have clearance on the mainline track there. And then I did add some ballast, some just first round of ballast up there. Got a little bit more work to do. But from this view down here, it looks nice, and we've got that train car there which blocks the end of the building and the end of the road. So it kind of creates a little bit of an illusion of that road disappearing behind that door company building, which is exactly what I needed it to do. All right, the area that probably has the most new work done is going to be the upper level over here. So let's go check that out. All right, so a lot of things have changed up here since our last update. We have completed this mountain over here. We just have to add a little bit more ground cover to the very bottom, and we've kind of blended it in. So that covers up those backdrops. And then panning around, we have added the trailer park there in the middle with the tree house as well. Just did a video on that not long ago if you want to see that whole project. And then we also have the H&H Mill. The H&H Mill building, that was gifted to me by a viewer. He had a duplicate in his storage, and so he sent that over to me along with the Woodland Scenics grocery store many years ago. I think probably 2 or 3 years ago. And we finally found a good spot for this mill up here on the layout. Now I've had a few people comment on the trailer park video that it seems cramped. Why would it be thrown between 2 industrial buildings and a farm? Doesn't make any sense. Well, let me explain this to you. First off, I put it there because that's where the pop-up is, and everything's fixed down so I can still pop that up and turn it over and nothing falls off. But here in Lancaster, we have a large Amish population that will do anything for a buck. So if they have a field that isn't, you know, producing a lot of crops, or they're not using anymore, or perhaps they're just getting old and they don't feel like working the land, they will actually build a really low income slum trailer park and get whatever used dumpy trailers they can to put on it and rent them out for a couple $100 a month, cash only. It is not uncommon to see trailer parks right up against nice looking Amish farms because it's a quick buck for the farmers, and it's just the way they are. So this is not terribly uncommon to see a trailer park kind of thrown right next to a farm and maybe a mill and cabinet factory. It's some of the things that we would see. So that's why I decided that that would kind of make sense for the things that we have around here. Panning down, we have another kit. I picked this up from Narrow Gauge Model Railroading as well. This is a little speeder shed. So this is something that you would see kind of on the side of the tracks with a speeder inside, and they could roll it out and then pick it up and place it on the tracks and speed off to wherever they need to go. We're going to add some more detail parts of this and hopefully a speeder on the inside. I actually was inspired to build this by visiting my friend Don's house. Don Kaiser has a fantastic layout. He also has a YouTube channel. I hope to get over to Don's house with maybe just him and I so I can film a full layout overview of Don's layout. It is phenomenal, super unique, and really has helped me see some new and better ways that I could go about modeling in the future. So this is something that he had on his layout. I saw it pop up on Facebook for about $25, and I couldn't pass it up. So another laser cut wood kit. So I haven't not weathered it yet. It's just painted, and I did paint it in a rough fashion, so it kind of looks worn down. So we're gonna weather it a little bit, maybe add a light or two, and then we'll get a speeder and some guys just kind of hanging out inside that shed. Over here, we've got Strasbourg 90. That was a big one, a big addition to the collection as well. So we've got Strasbourg 90, and then I've got the Pequea Valley car, heavyweight car back there on this train, just going around the upper loop over here. Let's pan over to the locomotive wall and talk about some of the new things that are over here. Well, this year we picked up the third rail GP9 there, and we weathered that. We did a video. I also did an overview of that engine review for trains.com and Classic Toy Trains. Now, of course, I picked this up, and then Lionel comes out with some in their latest catalog, so we'll have to see if I would decide to pick one of the new Lionel ones up also. We've got this beautiful long Alaska Railroad set. Picked that up from Nicholas Smith Trains. I was able to get the Superliner from an auction, and I was able to get the second ST70M from my buddy RJ. All those Atlas Auto Racks finally came in this year too, so it's good to have those. Those are just a few of the ones that I have up there on the wall. But let's go look at what else is over here at the locomotive section. We've got the new Protosound 3 Angus with whistle steam. We did a video on that locomotive, so that's new to our collection. If we come back over here, you're going to see the nice and green L1 Mikado here from Lionel. Really cool locomotive, definitely too green, but we already talked about that. We don't need to talk about colors anymore. I still have the big dummy coupler on there from when I had my buddy John's L1 Mikado here, and it's a really cool locomotive with whistle steam. Inside the roundhouse, it's nice and dark, but there it is. We finally have the I1 Decapod. Such a cool locomotive. We did a video on 5 of those. My buddy John has 4 and I have 1. So we were able to do a video of all 5 running here on the layout, which was super, super cool. Over on this side, we have added another shelving unit, and we moved our Santa Fe War Bonnet F units up here with just 1 passenger car. I did pick up 8 Santa Fe MTH passenger cars from an auction for like under $200. It was a steal. Had to pick it up. And then I also added this whiteboard here. So this is just a way whenever I have people over, or even just for myself, to know what's on which loop and the engine IDs and a description of what it is. And it works as a sign-up board for when people come over and want to run things on the layout. If we pan over here, we'll see the New York Central Century Green E-units there. Those things are gorgeous. They came out recently as well, and I'm so glad that I picked these things up. They look really nice with the Southwestern Limited passenger cars that I have in my collection. And down here is the Lionel GP35. This is the Penn Central, but it's a Conrail patch with that Conrail blue door. I found this on trains.com and could not pass it up. If anybody has the other versions from this release of the GP35, the Erie Lackawanna, I think there's a Reading, and you want to sell it, please let me know. I would love to add at least 1 more, if not 2 more of these to my collection. All right, so that sums up some of the updates here on the layout. Now there's some small little things here and there that we might not have been able to cover, but for the most part, that covers the things that we've done here. Ground cover and trees. I've done a lot of work with trees. I've probably added 300 trees in the last year, and you probably can't even tell, because when you have a layout that's the size of mine, the scope of mine, those trees just seem to disappear as soon as you put them on the layout. You really need 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 trees on a layout this size so they actually create forest. Like, I would love to have this mountain be a forest, but I'm gonna need at least 500 trees just on that hillside. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money. So that's why I'm starting to build my own trees, and we'll talk about that in a future video. Now, what are we going to be doing this year? Like I said, finishing the layout. And I don't want to rush it and just have it be done for the TCA convention. I really want it to be done the way that I want it to be done. I've added a lot more building kits than I thought I would this year, because I was able to snag a few for a really good deal. The Downtown Deco kits were buy one, get one free at Cyber Monday, Black Friday. So we've added a lot of things like that. I've added a lot of rolling stock this year and other engines, but you've seen a lot of those in videos. In fact, another one is sitting behind me right there, that Conrail SD45. Picked that up from Brady's Trains at the York Train Show. So again, lots of things that we purchased, but you've seen the videos on those. Now you can see what we've done on the layout. We will do a full layout overview at some point this year where we talk track planning, we talk about how it's changed and adapted, and things like that. But for now, we're going to look at some videos of trains running around the layout here. I hope you enjoy this one, guys. Thank you so much. Leave me a comment. What are your thoughts? What would you do or change on the layout itself? And we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Are we clear to the next block? Over. Next stop, folks. If this is your station, please move toward the door. Next stop, coming up.
Attention travelers, the LCTA excursion is now boarding.
All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that layout update and the running session, but it is time for viewer mail. So again, if you have an idea for viewer mail, you can email CTATViewerMail@gmail.com and tell me your story. Give me some comments or ideas or anything that you want to share about your involvement in this great hobby that we're in. We'll share it here on the channel. So my first submission for viewer mail is from a viewer named Brad. And Brad shared a little bit of his story with us, and we're going to share it here on the channel. So Brad shared that he grew up just steps away from the Burlington Northern Spur, and he was able to watch trains every day. In fact, his story begins at birth with some birth trauma that caused him to have limited use of his right arm and leg. After surgery, his mom would take a wagon with him and wagon him out of the hospital or out of the house so he could watch the trains. And on one occasion, the train crew actually stopped, came over because they recognized Brad being out there all the time with his mom, and they actually gifted him a Lionel train set. And the rest, as they say, is history. He actually got to ride in the locomotive that day. And I think it just goes to show how people can take simple steps of noticing someone, simple steps of kindness and empathy, and it can change the course of someone's life. And not to say that Brad wouldn't have gone on to do great things, master's degree, kids, grandchildren. So I think that it's just what those guys in that train did. They could have just kept going and waved and blown the horn every day, but instead they decided to stop and do something extra for Brad. Brad shared a couple pictures of his layout that he is working on right now. And so he is kind of modeling 1970s in his hometown, which is pretty cool. So you can see those pictures right here. So Brad, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. If you have a story of your involvement in the hobby, you can email us at CTATViewerMail@gmail.com. Thanks guys for tuning in on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.